What's up, everybody? It's me, Jacob, and today you're gonna help me solve a mystery. The case of the mysterious envelope. Dun dun dun! What do you think it is? Is it a thank you gift? A prank? A peace offering? Actually, peace is what we're talking about today. Peace is proving you care more about each other than winning an argument. But that doesn't get me any closer to finding out what's inside this package. I feel like I should be wearing gloves for this. Yeah. Monkey bridge? What's a monkey bridge? A few twigs and some string, but no instructions. Another mystery. Dun dun dun! I mean, clearly this is a bridge building kit. Well, maybe the sticks are the decking? But how do maybe I'm supposed to weave it together. This doesn't make any sense. I gotta get creative. I gotta think outside the box to find a solution. Actually, that's exactly what someone in today's story did. Now, how do you build a monkey bridge?
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story, inspired by the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 25.
God had promised David would be king, but for now, King Saul ruled Israel. David lived his life on the run, followed by a group of misfits who had become friends and servants. One day, they arrived in the desert of Paran, near the land of a wealthy man named Nabal, who owned 3,000 sheep.
We'll set up camp here, man.
At first, Nabal's servants didn't know what to think.
Too many strangers around these parts. We've had food and sheep go missing.
But David's men were honorable. They didn't try to steal from the shepherds. In fact, David protected Nabal's shepherds from any harm.
Stay as long as you like, my friend.
About time for sheep shearing, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Nabal will hold a grand feast when it's all over. Your men have helped us, so they should share in the celebration.
David called for 10 of his men and gave them a message to send to Nabal.
On it.
David's messengers hurried up the mountain to Nabal's estate and were brought to stand before him.
Well, what do you want?
Nabal sneered down at the men while he continued to chew on a fine leg of mutton.
David says, "May you live long. May things go well with you."
Continue.
He says, "I hear that you are clipping the wool off your sheep. When your shepherds were with us, we treated them well and protected them. Now please be kind to my men. Please give us any food you can find for us."
Nabal leapt from his seat and hurled the mutton bone across the room.
Who is this David? Probably a runaway servant. Why should I give bread and meat to a nobody? And his men who come from who knows where?
David's men returned to camp and delivered the news.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Oh, yes, he did.
Men, put on your swords. We'll make Nabal wish he hadn't.
At no time at all, David and 400 of his men were marching up the mountain to confront Nabal. It seemed there was no stopping a battle. But Nabal's wife, Abigail, was far wiser than her husband. A servant told her what he had done.
David sent messengers asking for food, but Nabal shouted and was rude to them.
Go on.
The whole time we were near them, David's men were good to us. They were like a wall, keeping us safe. You've got to do something now, or terrible trouble will come.
There's no time to waste.
Abigail quickly directed her servants to gather supplies and put them on donkeys.
200 loaves of bread,
Check.
5 sheep,
Check.
1 bushel of cooked grain,
Check.
100 cakes of raisins, and 200 cakes of figs.
Check. And check.
Well, you go on ahead. I'll follow.
The donkeys, loaded with good food, started down the mountain. Abigail got on her donkey and followed. From the valley, David and his men were approaching.
Everything we've done has been worthless. I watched over this fellow's property, but he's paid me back evil for good. We'll wipe him out.
As David's anger grew, though, he spotted something along the path. A pack of donkeys.
What's this?
Well, it looks like they're carrying something. Food for a feast, I'd say.
Behind the pack of donkeys, Abigail prepared for what lay ahead.
I must stop this.
The moment Abigail saw David, she slid off her donkey and fell face down on the ground before his feet.
Please, let me speak. Let me take the blame for Nabal's actions.
Abigail raised her eyes just enough to notice David's surprised face. He nodded.
Don't pay attention to Nabal. He's always doing foolish things. I'm sorry I didn't get to see your messengers, but I've brought a gift for you. Right now, the Lord has kept you from killing Nabal and his men. Let the Lord deal with your enemies.
Abigail rose to her feet. David and his men listened, surprised by the strength of her message.
You fight the Lord's battles, so he will give your family line a kingdom that will last. He'll make you ruler of Israel. And when he does, you won't have a heavy load on your mind about killing people with no reason. The Lord will give you success. When that happens, please remember me.
Abigail took a deep breath and waited. David smiled.
Give praise to the Lord. He sent you to find me. May he bless you for this. You have kept me from using my own hands to get even.
David's men unloaded the food that Abigail had brought.
Go home in peace. I'll do what you have asked.
Abigail made her way back up the hillside to her home. She had chosen to humble herself and do the hard yet creative work of making peace. In the end, Nabal paid the high price for his foolish anger, but God blessed Abigail.
The fight between Nabal and David wasn't Abigail's problem, but she didn't use that as an excuse. She got involved. She acted fast, and she found a creative solution. You see, just because something isn't your problem doesn't mean you can't get involved. God has given each one of us unique talents and unique ways of seeing things. So, if you see people in a fight and you're the only one who can see a way to make peace, you should help them solve that mystery. Jesus showed us how important making peace was to him when he gave his life on the cross. We can make peace with others by being part of the solution. You can help calm an argument between two people by making them laugh. You can suggest solutions to problems that others might not see. Or if a fight looks like it might get dangerous, you can find a grown-up to help keep the peace. The one thing to remember today is this: you can show you care about others by being part of the solution. So this week, be on the lookout for creative ways to build bridges between people in your small part of the world. I'm gonna have to get pretty creative myself. Here's what the bridge is supposed to look like. Mystery solved. You know, if that bridge was full-sized, I could cross an entire canyon on that one thin little rope. But first I'd need to solve my fear of heights problem. Dun dun dun! I'll see you next time.
Hey kids, I am so glad you're back for another week where we're talking about peace. We're gonna make something today to remind us who brought us peace. Do you guys remember? Jesus, right? When Jesus died on the cross and rose from the grave, he brought the world peace, peace between us and God. Remember, he was our bridge back to God. We cannot get to God by ourselves. So we're gonna make a cross craft to remind us of that. For this craft, you will need some black paper, some chalk, some really thick tape, and some skinnier tape. If you don't have, two types of tape, you can either use a skinny tape and like put them next to each other to make it look really thick, or you could cut this tape. Washi tape also works well, maybe electrical tape. Ask your parents what you guys have around your house. And then some scissors just to make your tape lines really, really even. First, you're gonna take your thick tape and you're gonna make a long piece. Cut a long piece, make sure the ends are nice and straight. And, oh, I might have done that a little too long. Let's trim that up a little bit. You're gonna put that in the middle of your paper, vertically, up and down, just like that. And then you're gonna take a shorter piece, kind of hold it up to measure it. This is gonna be your cross. It's gonna go right in the middle of your paper. Uh-oh. Made that a little too long again, which is totally fine. That's why we have the scissors here, just to trim things up. So put that horizontally closer to the top. So your cross is in the middle of your paper, and then you're going to take your skinnier tape and cut off pieces of that. You just want your lines to be pretty even, like the ends. And you're gonna put that all over your paper, coming out from your cross. Okay. So we're making stained glass, or what's gonna look like stained glass. This is in a lot of like really pretty older churches. Makes things look really, really pretty. So after we finish with our tape lines, we're gonna use the chalk and fill in all the little spaces. So I just grabbed some extra, I think it's Easter chalk that we had around. It doesn't really matter what kind of chalk you use. If you don't have chalk, you could probably use white paper and crayons, something like that, markers, whatever you have around your house. Anything that's gonna bring lots of cool colors. I'm just gonna trim this a little bit. Okay, and then once you have your lines coming out, you want to take a little bit of tape and put lines going between the pieces of tape. I'll show you in just a minute. To make, it's taped to the table, to make even smaller pieces. So like that's a really good piece right there. And just all different sizes and shapes of those smaller pieces. The more, the better. It's going to bring more color and some really cool patterns and designs. Okay. And really, if it's going off the paper or if it's going into tape, it doesn't really matter what the ends of the tape look like. So if you need to start ripping, that's totally fine. If you get a little impatient like I do. If it goes too far, just trim it up a little bit. Take those pieces and put them somewhere else. There's no right or wrong way to do this. So just keep going until you have lots of little shapes all over your paper. Let's see. Oh, I need one right here. look like when they're done, you guys can always post pictures in our comment section. We love, love, love to see what you guys are doing at home. That one wasn't a great one. A little bit of tape right there. Let's see. Maybe one right here. Let me make that. All right. I think I'm almost done. Making sure there's not too many huge things. Then we're going to take our chalk. Once you have tape all over your paper, I'm ripping my paper trying to get it off the table. You guys can just leave yours on the table. Once you have tape all over, then you're going to take your chalk, and my goal is not to have two colors right next to each other. You guys can do whatever you want. You might only want two colors, or yeah, you might have a different pattern in mind. Whatever you want to do, this is your project and your stained glass. So I'm just gonna go around with one color and just fill it in. You might want to do this part outside because you're going to get a little chalk on your table since you're bringing it all the way to the edge. Just go sit in your yard on a pretty day and make some stained glass. That sounds lovely. I'm shaking the whole table. So just go around and fill in all those spots. Doesn't have to be pretty. Doesn't have to be perfect. Your tape is going to get chalk on it, and that is totally fine. We are going to pull the tape off in a minute, and hopefully we'll have some really pretty clean lines between all of our chalk. Let's see, let's do blue. Just keep going until you've filled it all in. I don't know if chalk mixes. Try mixing colors if you want to. Whatever sounds good to you. Let's do this one. Is that green? If you want it to look a little bit more like painty, you could even dip your chalk in water. That makes a different texture for the chalk and looks kind of cool. Pink, I left you all the little spots. All right, I got one spot left. I'm gonna put yellow. I feel like it needs some brightening up right there. All right, so, oh, do your whole thing with chalk. Doesn't that look cool? All right, now we get to pull up all the tape. Be really, really, really gentle with this part because I have already ripped my paper. I have to breathe in the chalk dust. That probably isn't great for you. All right, I have to just go slow, pull up that chalk. I mean, not the chalk, that wouldn't work. Pull up that tape nice and slow. Do the cross part last, because that's gonna be at the very bottom of all your tape. Ooh, this is looking cool already, guys. I'm excited to see the finished product. It's like a big surprise at the end. Might want to like shake your paper a little bit before you start pulling the tape off, because I can see some chalk that just is hanging out. I might have gone a little crazy with my chalk. Just slowly, patiently pull up all that tape. When you're finished, you shouldn't have any tape left on your paper. Instead of like wiping it, because that's just going to smear the chalk, I'm just trying to blow the extra chalk off really gently, because you don't really want chalk on the black lines. Also, watch your fingers, are going to get chalk on them, and watch where you're putting them. I'm putting mine like on my cross that still has tape on it, so I don't get fingerprints on the black lines. Again, maybe go outside. This is a little messier than I thought it was going to be. All right, so there's my stained glass. How cool is that? I'm gonna go around and outline my cross. I'm just worried that we won't be able to see it because the lines were kind of big. So I'm gonna take some yellow and just do a thin line of chalk right around my cross. You could do this at the very beginning, although it might make it smear a little bit. Experiment, see what works for you. Or if you have skinny lines, you probably don't need to do this. If you've cut your chalk, you might not even need to do this part, but I just really, really, really want my cross to pop. It's okay if your lines aren't perfect, because you're about to pull that tape off anyway, and it's gonna make some really clean lines. All right, so now, pull off your big cross lines. Be real gentle so you don't rip your paper. Okay. Breathe in some chalk. What do you think? Cool! Some cool stained glass. All right, I am so excited to see what you guys are cooking at home, and we're gonna do this at church on Sunday too. Have fun and have a great week, guys.
Everything I want, everything I need, you are. When nobody else is listening to me, you are. Before my heart took its first beat, you already loved me, Lord. And in your kindness, you saved me. You're all that I'm living for. Oh, No